is breaking news on WDSU.
And the breaking news that we're following, NOPD Superintendent Sean Ferguson holding a press conference right now to discuss his retirement.
Yeah, broke the news yesterday when Chief Ferguson first made the announcement. He's getting ready to speak right now. Let's go ahead and cut in to that press conference.
Good morning, everyone. What a day, huh? Let's see, what a ride. This is a very special day, of course. Huge day for the city of New Orleans. Huge day for myself, huge day for my family, huge day for this department. I've served this department for 24 years. Served this city for close to 30 years. It's a humbling moment right now. I can say, and I will be honest, this has been an emotional week, emotional month. And sometimes, a decision has to be made, and it is a very important and necessary decision to be made. I joined this department in 1998 in an effort to support my family in a better way. This department has a lot of things to offer to anyone who would like to join this department. And I see a lot of things to offer: the benefits, the camaraderie, the family, a lot of things to offer. But more importantly, the city's love is what this department has to offer any and everyone. This is a unique city. I'm born and raised here. Let me tell you, there's no city like it, none. I won't take any of this love that I have received over the last several years for granted. Since joining this department, this profession, I joined it for my family, but the profession, this noble profession, has become my passion. Over the last 24 years, I've given it my all. I joined this department for my family, and over the last 24 years, I've put this department before my family. Therefore, this decision had to be made. It's time to focus on my family. It is time to focus on myself. I have to begin with some thank yous. And the first thing I have to do, first thank you I have to give is to God Almighty. He is the reason I'm here today. He knows the ending before it begins. And that is why I'm here today. He knew this was coming before I knew this was coming. I want to thank the mayor, Latoya Cantrell, trusted in me, had the confidence in me to put me in this position, and stood by me every step of the way. When many have called for me to step down, she stood with me. And I want to thank her for that. I want to thank the men and women of the New Orleans Police Department, commissioned and non-commissioned. Let me tell you, I sent an email to the department yesterday I wanted them to hear from me first about my position and my path forward. And I was amazed at the responses that I received. They made me teary-eyed, I would not lie. There were responses from people I never expected. Not that they did me anything wrong. I just never knew how I impacted them. And they were telling me stories and statements and memories that they had of me and how I impacted their careers. And I was amazed. So I know, with that being said, I have done my due diligence. I have made a difference, not just with this department, but with this city. But we have to recognize these men and women for all that they do and continue to do. We've been through a global pandemic, civil unrest, hurricane, 2 weeks without electricity. And none of that stopped the New Orleans Police Department from doing their job while the rest of the criminal justice system shut down. The men and women of this department should be held to a standard of just thanking them, praising them, uplifting them for everything that they do and continue to do every day. And for that, I'm very grateful. I want to thank each and every one of them. I have to thank the citizens of New Orleans for their love. I mean, I have hundreds of texts, emails that I have yet to go through. I still have not completed. My phone, of course, has rang all night. It's continuing to ring this morning. Just the love and support that the citizens of New Orleans, even abroad, across the country, have reached out and said, hey, walk out with your head held high because we support you and we thank you. And for that, I am thankful. Last but not least, my family. It is something that the mayor and I have urged and continue to say every time we are at a recruit graduation or anything. Hey, when we serve, our families serve. And that is no different for me. My family has endured a lot, not just over the last 24 years, but especially these last 4 years in this position. And I am grateful for their support and their love and their encouragement every day. This department is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, department in the country. I love it. Couldn't be more proud of it. I've grown through this. I've made friends. I've lost friends while being on this department. That is serious. I mean, things that we go through, a lot of the community, you, the media, do not see that. What is behind the curtain? Just with my first field training officer, when I came on this job, passed just this year, while still working on this job. So we go through a lot, and you do not realize that. But nevertheless, we have to put on this armor and continue to fight a good fight, and we will continue to do just that. I want to put some things in perspective, dispel some rumors. I was not forced out. This is my decision. I am walking out on my own accord. I had this conversation with the mayor prior to Thanksgiving, and I'll be frank with you. I had this thought and this consideration throughout the budget process. And I finally had a conversation with the mayor and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. And she asked me to take the Thanksgiving holidays to discuss it with my family, to possibly reconsider, really put things into perspective throughout the Thanksgiving holidays. And at the end of the holidays, I made the decision. It's time to go home. It's time to sit back, look at what I have done. It's time to enjoy my life. Not that I have not been able to do so, but in a different way. No more phone calls in the middle of the night. No more getting up, trying to see what's going on, and late nights like Chief Goodley. I remember Chief Thomas was here with me. I talked to them, and they say, as they say to me, they talk to me more than they talk to their wives. That is the nature of this business. That is the nature of this job. So, I'm going to enjoy this time with my family, and I have to look out for them as well as myself when we talk about doing things in order. Just a few little opinions, tidbits from my part. I want to encourage our city leaders to have a better communication line. This is not our own, it's not about our own personal agendas. It is about the citizens and the visitors of New Orleans. We have to work with one another. We have to agree to disagree. But it starts, as I said last week, with communication. And I am urging our leaders to do just that. Come to the table. Stop this political showmanship. Come to the table, have a conversation. Be grown men, be grown women, and talk about the issues and see how we can come to a resolution together. I want to encourage the men and women of the New Orleans Police Department, again, commission and non-commission, or as we would say, our commission or uniformed personnel and our professionals. Continue to fight a good fight. Continue to stay #NOPD strong, because this is who we are. To our citizens, our business leaders, our faith-based leaders, continue to support the men and women of the New Orleans Police Department, because they need just that. It goes a long way. To you, the media, look at the glass half full and not half empty. Your messaging is important. We're talking about a recruitment problem, not just in New Orleans, but across the country. But it's based on messaging. It is based on perception of this profession. I just had this conversation with one of our ex-employees, some retired officers. You know, I remember coming on this job, you had generations of police officers. You had the Rodriguez, you had the Palombos, you had the Thomases, you had that. You don't have that anymore. Officers are our best recruiters, but it is hard to recruit your family members and friends to come on this department, given the climate that we're dealing with now. We need to change that. We really need to change that. I want to encourage you, as you hold law enforcement accountable, hold every aspect, every component of the criminal justice system accountable. It is unfair. These men and women go out here, as I said before, every day doing their job, making the arrest. Ida, global pandemic, civil unrest, they were out there while others sat back and gave excuses as to why they could not do their job or should not do their job. It is unfair to the men and women of this department, to the men and women of this profession. Let's lift them up. Let's give them a chance. And let's look at that glass again, half full instead of half empty. "24 years of service is what I've given, and 24 years is a lot. 4 years in this seat is a lot. Average, you know, many may say the average span of a chief of police is probably 6, 7 years, maybe 5 years. But when you're in a major city, 3 years tops. 3. I will be making 4 years next month. It is time. It's time to get back to what is important. Not that the citizens of this city is not important to me, because I will be here. I will continue to be that neighbor as my neighbors walk down the street with their dogs and I'm sitting on my porch. But I'll be able to have a more engaged conversation now with my neighbors instead of worrying about the phone ringing while we're trying to discuss what is going on in our neighborhood. But it's time to take a step back and reset and see what can I do differently to better this community, to better this city. So another question may be asked, what are your plans? I have none. I am not leaving the city to go take another job. I will be right here in the city of New Orleans. This is the city that I love, and I will see what life has to offer. It's God's plan, not mine. And I will do just as he has ordered me to do. So with that being said, you know, citizens of New Orleans, I love you. Men and women of the New Orleans Police Department, I love you. I want to thank again the mayor for this great opportunity. I would not, if there's anything I could do differently, in case you asked that, nothing. Again, it's God's plan. So everything that I've been through, everything that this department has been through, is by his word, is by his order, and I will continue to follow his order. Gary?
How much did the political situation, the vote, as far as the council sort of having some sort of role in choosing the next police chief by January 1st play in your decision making?
Not a one. Again, this is about my family. This is about myself. I told you I've been thinking about this even during the budget season, probably even prior to that, but not at all, none.
Well, do you have any thoughts about Jeanette Williams as the person who's named?
Well, now you're hearing from outgoing NOPD Superintendent Sean Ferguson. Travers, he said that it's time to focus on himself and time to focus on his family.
Yeah, look, he's a West Bank guy. He went to O. Perry Walker. He's not going anywhere. He said a lot of times police chiefs like Sean Ferguson are marketable. They're attractions to smaller cities. Most of his command staff is now chiefs in Montgomery, Alabama, cities in Alaska, Knoxville, Tennessee, where Paul Noel went. So I am sure at 50 years old, he'll collect his full retirement, but he will get calls from other cities. But he says he's staying here, and there'll probably be a lot of consulting gigs and work for him in the city of New Orleans. But it's been a good 24-year run for Sean Ferguson.
Yeah, and he also stressed, very importantly, he said that he was not forced out.
Right.
He said that he was thinking about this before the Thanksgiving holiday. He met with Mayor LaToya Cantrell, and she told him to think about it over the holiday, Thanksgiving holiday. And he said after Thanksgiving is when he made the decision to step down and retire as superintendent.
Yeah, look, I think the timing is interesting. I'm glad he addressed it. I think we take him at his word, and he says he's been thinking about this for a very long time. But given the spike of crime in the city of New Orleans, as well as the new law going into effect in January, it's a question that he, as he addressed, had been asked, and the mayor is going to get asked as well. But he said the time is now after 24 years. And look, a humble guy, he's a cop's cop. He came up through the ranks and worked really in every role, serving as a district commander in Algiers and in Uptown in the 2nd and 4th. He ran the training academy. Most police officers you talk to really like Sean Ferguson because he's one of them. He's not an outsider. He's a guy that started off as a police officer, and then worked his way up to chief.
Hey, a street cop through and through. He worked hard through the ranks for the New Orleans Police Department. And he also said some things as well about calling for unity. He said there must be unity amongst city officials, the folks in NOPD, as well as the city council. Remember last week, J.P. Morrell, one of the city councilmen, asked for his resignation. So he's been under a lot of pressure for the past several months, Travers.
Yeah, look, when you're in the seat of superintendent, it's appointed here, not elected. There's a lot of political pressure. A lot of people say it's more of a political gig than it is a law enforcement gig. Yes, that's important, but you have to deal with politics. You're appointed by the mayor, but the council controls your budget. And like you said, Darrell, I mean, he's had council members now for 12 months calling for him to step down. You have to take a lot of heat. You have to take the good with the bad. And I'm sure he's probably somewhat relieved to walk away from the politics of this job.
Yeah, well, I've seen personally a lot of run-ins between him and J.P.
Yeah.
Morrell during those city council meetings, those budget meetings. They would butt heads a few times.
Right.
So he has been under pressure. But also the biggest thing now, Travers, moving forward, who's next? Who's going to be the next person to replace Ferguson as the superintendent?
I think he was addressing that. Jeanette Williams is the name that everybody hears. If that does happen, she will become the first female police chief in the history of the city of New Orleans. She's been on the job for about 20 years. Another officer who started at the bottom and has worked her way up to a district commander and now an assistant superintendent. We'll see. Obviously, the council is calling for a nationwide search. That is what some past mayors have done. Mark Morial did it when he brought in Richard Pennington in the 1990s. Mitch Landrieu did it when he brought Ronald Surpass back. Mayor Cantrell said, hey, look, that may not be the approach I take. She didn't take it with Sean Ferguson, and we'll see if she does it this time. But obviously, Jeanette Williams' name is out there.
And there's a lot of question about how the search went down once Ferguson made that decision past Thanksgiving. Did she quietly do a national search, or did she decide to keep it in-house and move the assistant superintendent?
Right. And when they do national searches, there are different measures they can take. They put it out. There's the International Association of Police Chiefs that helps out. So we'll see. Obviously, this is a goodbye for Sean Ferguson, but now the ball is in the mayor's court for who she picks as the leader of the NOPD, an agency that right now is dealing with a major officer shortage.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on with this story. Of course, Morgan Lentis is there. She's going to be there at noon, and WDSU has been on top of the story since the news broke. For more on Superintendent Ferguson's plan to retire and what's next to come for the NOPD, you can head over right now to WDSU.com and our free mobile app.